Yes, a very good afternoon. Right, so let's discuss the MCQs in the Inter-Audit RTP May 23, coming to the first case scenario 1 over there, RTP May 23. Okay, Kaur and Associates, a sole proprietor firm of Simran Kaur, is offered appointment as an auditor of a company engaged in manufacturing of automobile components for the first time. She is fact checking about the integrity of the promoters of the company and the key managerial personnel. Matters such as competence of staff to perform the engagement are also considered by her. The appointment is subsequently accepted by her. So before accepting the appointment, she is checking the integrity of the promoters and the KMP. Matters such as competence of the staff. So not only the integrity of the management, but also the people who have to perform the audit, right? The competence of the staff to perform the engagement is also considered. And after considering this, then subsequently the engagement has been accepted by her. She is also taking into account number and location of branches of the company, requirements of Schedule 3 to the Companies Act, and expected time by which audit has to be completed, keeping in view the statutory requirements. Initially, she has thought it proper to inquire key employees of the company in procurement and marketing departments and planned for the same. She has also planned to visit 3 plants of the company. The purpose of the planned inquiry and visit is to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement. So this is going to be part of the risk assessment procedures. Okay, a detailed set of instructions. Now the moment I hear detailed set of instructions, I come to know they are talking about the audit program, has been prepared by her office and it has been handed over to her assistance and engagement team. These set of instructions include details of extent of checking and nature of audit procedures to be performed regarding purchases, sales, items of income, items of expenditure, etc. During the course of execution of the above set of instructions, it has been brought to her notice that company is also producing substantial quantities of scrap generated during the manufacturing process. However, no instructions have been given to the engagement team in this regard. Okay, based on the above, answer the following questions. Auditor is fact checking about the promoters and key managerial personnel. She is also considering the competence of the staff to perform the engagement. What is she trying to do? She is establishing audit strategies, she is conducting the preliminary engagement activities, she is designing an audit plan, or she is checking her compliance of the ethical requirements. Okay, right. So now here we are talking about SA 300, right? The planning and audit of the financial statements. Even before you start establishing your audit strategy, even before you start developing your audit plan, you need to conduct certain preliminary engagement activities, right? Preliminary engagement activities, like first preliminary engagement activities, you have to check the integrity of the client. You have to check the integrity of the client. You have to issue the engagement letter to the client. Then you also need to check for the acceptance continuance of the client relationship, the acceptance continuance of the client relationship. Then you also need to check or obtain an NOC, no objection certificate, from the predecessor auditor, and knowledge of the client's business in case if you are doing the audit for the first time. And here it is very clearly given in the question that she is doing the audit for the first time. Right. Then also, what does it say? Acceptance and continuance of client relationship that comes in a relationship that comes in SA 220. Also, whether you will be able to comply with the ethical requirements, including independence. So one, you check the integrity of the client also, and you also check whether you will be able to comply with the ethical requirements, including independence. If all this is okay, like an engagement letter, preconditions of audit have been mentioned, those have been accepted. There is no problem regarding acceptance, continuance of client relationship. You have done the fact checking regarding integrity, NOC, no objection certificate, KOC, knowledge of client's business, understanding the entity and its environment, ethical requirements, including independence. All these requirements have been checked. Then you can establish your audit strategy, and then you can develop your audit plan. So what is she conducting over here? She is conducting the preliminary engagement activities. She is conducting the PEA. What is PEA? She is conducting the preliminary engagement activities. Okay. Now, consideration of number and location of branches, requirements of financial reporting framework, and expected time of completion are relevant factors primarily for which of the following? Developing an audit plan, establishing an overall audit strategy, designing the audit program, or designing the risk assessment procedures. So how many location and number and location of the branches, what are the requirements of the financial reporting framework, how much time will I require to complete the audit. This is what I'm establishing the overall audit strategy. I'm establishing the overall audit strategy, right? You're not developing a detailed audit plan over here. You're not giving instructions. So it's not an audit program. It's not either your risk assessment procedures also. Okay, taking into account description of the planned inquiry and visit, which of the following statement is true? Planned inquiry and visit fall in the area of audit strategy. Planned inquiry and visit are planned risk assessment procedures and fall in the field of the audit plan. The said description is not related to audit planning. Planned inquiry and visit fall in the scope of the audit program. So audit program, no. Audit strategy, no. Now, you know what are the risk assessment procedures of SA 315? Inquiries of management and others within the entity, analytical procedures, observation and inspection. Right? Inquiries of management and others within the entity, analytical procedures, observation and inspection. Right? So here what we are doing, inquiry and visit. So visit, that means we are going to do the inspection and the observation. Right? So what does it say? It's a part of the planned risk assessment procedures. What is a detailed set of instructions given to assistance and engagement team known as? Detailed set of instructions. Instructions are given in the audit guidelines, audit plan, audit program or audit procedures. It's given in the audit program. Next one, the issue of generation of scrap has been overlooked in the detailed set of instructions given to the engagement team. What should be the proper course of action by CA Simran Kaur? She should ignore this information as audit has already begun. She should modify her earlier set of instructions. She should leave the matter to wisdom of the engagement team. She should put the ball in the court of the management as she was not provided with the complete information earlier. She should what? All she should. All the 4 points are starting with she should only. Ignore? No. She should leave? No. Put the ball in the court of the management? No. She should modify the earlier set of the instructions, right? She should modify the earlier set of the instructions, right? Coming to case scenario 2. CA Rajan Pillai is heading the engagement team conducting audit of a company. While audit is in progress, considering following issues regarding audit documentation. Audit program was prepared, assigning responsibilities for different types of work to be performed by team members. The engagement team consists of 4 members: Mohit, CA final student; Rohit, CA final student; Shobit, paid chartered accountant; and CA Rajan Pillai, partner of the audit firm. The team has determined materiality for the financial statements as a whole. The team has assessed risk of material misstatement to be low. CA Shobit is responsible for attending inventory count process and putting down its documentation part. During the course of audit, many related party transactions have come to notice. On the basis of above, answer the following questions. Okay. Work relating to verification of revenue was assigned to Mohit in the audit program. However, it was performed by Rohit actually. So it was assigned to Mohit, but it was performed by Rohit. Verification of trade receivables planned to be carried out by Rohit in the audit program. However, it being performed by CA Rajan Pillai due to the last minute practical issues. Which of the following statements is most appropriate in this regard relating to audit documentation? Audit program contains names of persons and the work to be performed. It is immaterial whether work assigned to one person is performed by another person. It says that is not material at all. Audit program was already prepared. Only persons assigned specific responsibility can perform those duties. Nobody else. You can't modify the instruction. It is necessary that audit program be suitably updated or notes are given in the working papers to this effect so that planned duties are in accordance with the actual work performance, and changes in audit program or notes clarifying the matter are required only when a person not forming part of the engagement team is deputed to perform a duty. Otherwise, this issue of intershuffling of team members is frivolous. Now, what do they say over here? Here it says it is immaterial. No, it is not immaterial. What does it say? Audit program was already prepared. Only the persons assigned the responsibility can perform the duties. No, there can be a change in the duties and responsibility. Intershuffling of team members, the matter is frivolous. No, it is not frivolous. It is considerable. It is important. So it is necessary that the audit program be suitably prepared or notes are given in the working papers to this effect so that planned duties are in accordance with the actual work performance. Okay. Next one. As regards materiality, which of the following statement is most appropriate in the context of audit documentation? Materiality has already been determined. There is no need to put it in the working papers. Oh my God. You need to document documentation of audit materiality. How did you determine the amount of materiality? Right, so there is no need to put it into working paper. No, materiality depends upon the professional judgment of an auditor. Whatever amount has been determined can be documented in the working paper. Okay, materiality arrived on the basis of professional judgment along with other factors considered in the determination of materiality has to be documented. So not only materiality is to be documented, how did you determine this amount of materiality? What factors did you take into consideration? That also needs to be documented. And materiality has been arrived upon professional judgment. It also depends upon professional judgment of the auditor whether he wants to document it or not. Out. Okay, right. So what does it say? Whatever amount has been determined can be documented and can be, not that it has to be. No, so it has to be documented, and not only the amount but also the factors considered in the determination has to be documented, right? So C is the correct option. As regards team's assessment that risk of material misstatements is low, which of the following statement is the odd one relating to documentation of risk? Which of the following one is the odd one relating to the documentation of the risk? Discussion amongst engagement team members and details of significant decisions reached has to be documented. Details of risk assessment procedures have to be documented. Details about how understanding of each component of internal control has been obtained has to be documented. Precise calculation of risk of material misstatement has to be documented. No, precise calculation not possible. So that is the odd one relating to documentation of the risk. Discussion among members of engagement team to be documented. Details of risk assessment procedures to be documented. Understanding of each component of internal control. There are 5 components of internal control: control environment, risk assessment, information system and communication, control activities, and the monitoring. And precise calculation of risk of material misstatement has to be documented. No, it need not be it is not to be documented. See, Shobit is responsible for attending physical inventory count of the company. Which of the following is usually not true in this regard relating to audit documentation? Date on which physical inventory count was attended by him should be documented. It may also include photographs of that date showing his attendance of inventory counting process at a particular location. Detail of test counting undertaken should form part of documentation. Detail of obsolete goods found should form part of audit documentation. And the report showing that stock conform to quality control standards in accordance with the law are essential part of the audit documentation. Right. So if you maintain the photographs of whatever stock taking you attended, should it be a part of documentation? Yes. Test counting which you have done, should it be a part of documentation? Yes. How did you check for the obsolete goods? Should it be a part of documentation? Yes. But reports showing that stock conform to quality control standards in accordance with the law, is it an essential part of the documentation? No, it is not true in this regard relating to the audit documentation. Okay. And as regards related party transaction, which of the following should not be a part of audit documentation? So should not be a part of the documentation. Management representation letter? No, we need to obtain a written representation from the management in this regard. Related party transaction policy of the company? We have to know what is the policy for related party transaction. Documentation to show that this transactions are at the arm's length basis, that is the market value, and documentation to show that these transactions are at the close length basis. Now there is nothing called as close length basis over there. So arm's length basis, yes. Had you entered into the same transaction with a non-related party, would you have entered it at the same price, same terms and conditions? That is arm's length basis. But arm's length basis. But there is nothing called as the close length basis. Okay, right. So that completes our second case scenario over there. Now coming to some general MCQs. The term drawing power is associated with which of the following facilities are sanctioned by any bank? The term drawing power is associated with which of the following facilities are sanctioned by any bank? Right, drawing power, right? Letter of credit, term loan, staff advances, and the cash credit limit, right? So letter of credit is in the context of import, term loan for making any purchases, staff advances for giving the whatever loans have been given to the staff of the bank. So drawing power is associated with which of the following facilities is sanctioned by any bank? It is the cash credit limit. Right? It is the cash credit limit. Okay. Dash aims at ascertaining that the expenditure incurred has been on the purpose for which the grant and appropriation had been provided, and that the amount of such expenditure does not exceed the appropriation made. Right? So that means you've put aside the funds for a particular purpose. So audit against provision of funds, propriety audit, audit of sanctions, audit against rules and orders. Right? So funds have been put aside. That amount of expenditure does not exceed the appropriation made. Right? So that's the audit against the provision of the funds. That's the audit against the provision of the funds. Okay. Right. Which of the following is not correct? A is 18, related party disclosures, correct. A is 10, property, plant, equipment, correct. A is 28, impairment of assets, correct. A is 16, it is regarding the borrowing cost. It's not regarding the intangible assets. AS 26 is regarding the intangible assets, right? So this one is not correct. Okay. Then, tools and techniques that auditors use in applying the principles of data analytics are known as computer-aided audit techniques, computer-aided audit tools, computer accounting and auditing technique, computer-assisted audit techniques. Right? So they are known as the computer-assisted audit techniques, popularly known as the CATs. Okay. And the last one over there. Dash refers to events or conditions that indicate an incentive or a pressure to commit a fraud or provide an opportunity to commit a fraud. So incentive, pressure or opportunity to commit a fraud, that comes from the fraud risk factors. Any such events, conditions or situation that either give an incentive or which put a pressure or which provide an opportunity to commit a fraud. Right? So fraud risk factors. Right? And misappropriation of asset is a type of fraud. Incentives and pressure, that's already given over here. And fraud, this is not the definition of fraud. Fraud refers to an intentional act by one or more individuals, right? So this is what they are referring to over here is the fraud risk factors, right? So that completes our discussion for the MCQs in the inter audit in the RTP May 23. Thank you.